You're listening to the Living Adventures podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by ashleymielke and Victoriavance. Tune in for a new episode every Thursday to hear our honest conversations about topics like freedom, creativity, spirituality, luxury living, health and wellness, and above all else, building community.
We have real and unfiltered conversations inspired by our search to feel connected to people who give a shit about us, support our dreams, and understand our struggles. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to navigate any moment in your life with the lens of your neurodivergent mind, with a community who gets you. Adventure on. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Living Adventures podcast. It's your host, Ashley Mielke, here with
Victoriavance.
And we are so pumped because it's 2023 when you're listening to this in the future, because we're recording ahead. But that's so cool.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! What the heck? That's so exciting. So today we're going to talk all about intentions for the new year, how to set your intentions, how to leave some BS behind, how to take good stuff with you, and how to just vibe. So instead of talking about hyper-focus of the week, we're going to talk about our own intentions for the year and kind of go from there. So, yeah. Victoria, take it away.
I've thought a little bit about this, and I probably have more. But my biggest intentions is to continue building community. I will say this is going to be the year I get a puppy. Little Theo's coming in. Aww. Hopefully in the spring, you know. I don't know, it's like a year of connections for me and putting kind of like the past 3 years of work that I've done into play. And also I really want to continue resting and dive deeper in that. Something else I want to do is I want to go to like a meditation retreat or like learning thing. Fun. I want to like learn more how to run that type of stuff.
Dude, on my manifestation list, I literally have a hypnosis certification, like, program. Like, I want to manifest how to do hypnosis on people. So, like, meditation, yes, but also, like, on a deeper levels to, like, tap into subconscious. Because I'm like, imagine when we're doing, like, retreats or programs, if we have that tool available to do, like, hypnosis and change people's, like, internal programming, I'm like, I need to know how to do that.
Yeah, damn. I mean, I can write, like, mental rehearsals, but, like... Shit.
But like hypnosis, right? To be trained in that. And you know what's cool is like the TBM program we do, she does hypnosis. Like she's trained in that, and that's part of the DIs that we do. The meditations have like hypnosis in them.
You know, I've always, whenever like I get into one, I think about like, how does she write these? I always think about that stuff. It's like, how do they write this? And it's like, I want to know. And
me too, I want to learn.
Maybe it's not as deep as I think.
Some of it might not be as deep as you think, because I think a lot of people who do meditations, at least from the experience that I have, usually channel them, like they download them and it just like comes from within. But there has to be some kind of
There has to be something else.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not. But anyways, I want to learn how to do hypnosis. You want to learn how to do meditation. Either way, we're gonna. Can you imagine? This is just me and Victoria being exciting about this new year. Like, we could have our own Calm app. Like, forget Calm. Like, we could have a meditation app. Or hypnosis app or program. Anyways, I am full of ideas. So I totally agree with community building. My whole 2023, Victoria and I are building this massive community that you're all invited to. It's going to be so fun. I kind of want to step into more of a connector role this year is kind of what I'm seeing for myself. Like becoming that person who's like, oh, I know so-and-so. If you need this, go to that person. Or this person's really awesome at that. And I've already kind of seen that happen in 2022 with my membership and my programs where like people always find each other and they're like, oh, now we're best friends for the rest of our lives. Or now we're business partners. Or now I'm going to hire you to help run my team. And I think that's so cool. And I want to do more of that. On a personal note, this has nothing to do with anything, but I want to learn how to run in 2023. Why? Because I saw some girl on TikTok running, and she's like, I stopped weightlifting because I wanted to learn how to run, and everybody said that when you start running, if you don't keep weightlifting, you're going to lose all your muscles, and she's like, I hate this, but they were right, and I lost all my muscle, but I can run 9 miles any day I want. And all I got from that was, I want to learn how to run 9 miles any day I want. That sounds like a cool thing that I could do. And so I found this like couch to 10K program on Pinterest, and I've been doing it. And I can run 2 miles now after week 1. Thank you very much. And it's been so fun because it's like every other day you do the running program, and every day is like a little bit different or a little more challenging. So it's like in the in-between days, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go run. I gotta run tomorrow. That sounds so fun. Also, it's really cold out in Boston, so this is very much a treadmill thing that's happening.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, are you really running outside?
I am never going to run outside in 20-degree weather. That couldn't be me. My chest could not handle that. When you get that sharp air, it's painful. Yeah. So I'll be running on a treadmill until it's springtime. But Victoria, I heard you ran a marathon almost. What was that?
I almost did a marathon after I broke up with one of my boyfriends. My friend who I was working with, she was like, oh, well, I'm going to run a marathon in September. And this was like 2019 this was happening. But the marathon was in like September of 2020. So like part of why it never happened. But basically I started training for it and everything. I was doing really well. And I actually had a roommate who ran marathons during that time, but he really sucked at running marathons because he ran a half marathon. And he came back and he was like, damn, I did not do as good as I thought. And I was like, well, how much do you run every day? And he was like 3 miles. And I was like, how the fuck do you think you can run a marathon? But
did I ever tell you this story about how my Russian grandfather, ran a marathon in New York, like the New York City Marathon?
Without training?
Did no training, and he literally was like, I'm gonna run a marathon, and literally just decided that. And he said like he was like dying inside, and he was going so slow, but he ran the whole time, and like by the time he got to the finish line, they were cleaning up, like they were picking things up. He's like, no, I'm gonna finish, I will finish, I don't care if they close everything down. And he was just going for it, and he did it, and he said he couldn't walk for days after. But I'm like, wow, that is impressive to just like be like, I'm gonna run 27 miles today. That sounds like something I could do. Okay, yeah, sure.
And so I was training for it, and then I continued training for it a little bit in the pandemic because I was like, it will still be on. It will be back to life in September and everything. And then around April, I was like, oh,
there's no point.
It's not going to happen. And then I just stopped training for it, and it never happened. I mean, I think they started doing them again now, but...
Yeah. Dang, would you ever run a half marathon again? Did you try it?
Maybe, but I'm not interested in it at this moment.
Yeah, fair.
I'd rather do more hiking. I do want to get back into weightlifting to help my shoulder again.
Yeah. So part of like the running that I've been doing is like it has some strength training days, which is cool. Okay. I mean, I've only been doing it for 5 days. It's not anything crazy yet, but I've lifted weights one time. I did that on Sunday. But yeah, I don't really want to run a marathon or anything, or a half marathon. I just want to see if I can be a runner, because I always hear runners be like, oh my god, after 3 miles you hit the runner's high and it just feels like you're floating. And I'm like, I don't believe you, so I'm gonna test this theory out myself, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see how it goes.
I mean, if I have access to a pool, easy access, I would start swimming again.
Oh, that would be fun.
Like, I wanted to swim in Mexico, and I would have, but the pool situation...
The green hair situation was not it, huh?
No.
I know. And your swimming cap never got
that shit never even came, and so no to that. But I would start swimming again.
It's like cycling is good, but I think I need something extra.
I want to go to like, I don't know. Maybe we should go to like a cycling class or two in Arizona.
Ooh, we so should, yeah.
And try out a studio there.
Or if we can find bungee jumping exercise there.
Your what?
The bungee jumping exercise.
Oh, yeah. If we can find that,
I would so.
Hell yeah, I want to do that. That is on my manifestation list of I want to go do one of those this year. It's like a micro one, but I want to go one of those bungee jumping things that you see online where you're just like hooked up to this thing and you just like jump, and it's like this like cardio thing and you're moving to music and whatever. That just seems so freaking fun.
I love that. I think it sounds so fun too. Like, it sounds like jumping on a trampoline. I also would love to do one of those classes where like you jump on the mini trampolines. That would also be so fun. They've done that at the Tall Ship.
Do what? Yeah, I was like, do that at Tall Ship.
They do it. Yeah, they do it. But yeah. So okay. I guess like those are pretty general intentions. Notice like I don't know. I don't really have like a New Year's resolution or anything. I don't like calling them that. Like, obviously last year my goal was like, oh, I want to start a YouTube. And I did that. And now I'm like, I want to see if I can run 6 miles, and that's pretty much going to be the only, like, New Year's thing that I do. And then everything else is just, like, general goals for life.
Yeah, I kind of want to, like, I guess the biggest thing this year is I want to do more things that, like, really just make me internally happy.
Like paint by number.
Paint by number, hiking, going on adventures.
Yeah.
I like, some of my favorite days ever are like when you just go walk with a friend and you just like somehow end up on an adventure somewhere, going somewhere and trying out a really cool place, and it just like is a memory. Like, those are my favorite days ever.
Yeah.
I want more of those days, like
spontaneous, nothing's planned, you're just looking, you're like, oh, that place looks really cool. Me too. I love those things and things like that. I want more days like that. And I'm excited because I feel like we've done a lot of work on learning how to work and rest. And I'm very confident that I can have more fun in my life now than ever before. Like, my life doesn't have to be about working. And I used to think it did have to be about working. And so I'm excited because I think that makes more opportunity and time for me to explore and adventure and have spontaneous days, and, you know, not always have to like live for the weekend. Because sometimes, I mean, especially in the last year, I feel like I lived for the weekend, and I don't want to live for the weekend, you know? I want to just live.
And it's like, I felt like, oh, I have to like work more on the weekdays, and it's like, yeah, I can have my entire weekend. But then it's like I still wouldn't do fun things on the week. And it's like, right. I want to be able to do fun things whenever I want, even if it's on a smaller scale because I just have less time, or like the other person has less time. I still want to do them. Yeah. And I want to have more of that this year. Yeah, I don't want to save it for just 2 days a week.
Totally, me either. And like, it's so wild because like, even like Adrian and I went to the grocery store on a weeknight the other day, which like might not sound crazy to most people, but that's not something we do because we're usually super busy. And I was like, oh, Maxie, are you okay? Hey, are you okay?
We have both dogs this episode. Bo's on my lap, napping.
Max is
hard.
on the ground napping, but he just had a bad dream. He's okay though. But yeah, like, me and Adrian don't go to the grocery store on a weekday, but we did, and I was like, wow, this is wild. This is insane. This kind of time for me, or just being able to do my gem by number every night, I'm like, this makes my heart so happy. Like, I want to get out of, well, also, I want to get out of the house too, but like, just having things to do is so cool. That make you happy.
Yeah, and it's like, I've been thinking a lot lately, because like a lot of people are like, you know, it's holiday party season, like, right now, and like that will slowly be ending in January, but a lot of people are getting dressed up and going out and like doing all of these things, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, that sounds fun, but I don't want to do any of that right now. And that's because I'm like in hibernation mode, and maybe in January I think I'm going to be slowly coming out of hibernation mode, but I'd love, and you know, I think it's not going to be all year long that it will be a hibernating year, but I would love to have a few of those times where it is fun and genuinely fun to get dressed up and go do something.
Yeah, where you like want to do it.
And I don't want to do it because like, oh, I have to go to this thing. I want it to be genuinely fun and exciting.
Yeah. My problem is I really hate winter clothes. I know some people love them.
I didn't say it had to be in the winter.
Oh, true. We can go do fun things in other states, too, that don't participate in winter, which is really my vibe. Yeah. I hate winter clothes. I feel like a sleepy potato in the winter time, which is why I'm hibernating.
I feel like winter jackets give me bad posture. I don't know if that, like, makes sense, but, like, I feel like it pushes my shoulders forward.
Huh. Yeah.
I also think they just overstimulate me.
That makes sense. It's a lot going on, especially the big poofy ones.
And, like, all the temperatures and this and that, and it's just like, ugh, I feel suffocated.
Yeah. And I literally, like, when I was walking Max this week when it was snowing, I felt like a potato. Like, I literally had my fleece-lined leggings on, and then socks, and then boots, and then my giant coat with, like, 2 things underneath it, and then my hat, and then the hood up, and I was like, all you can see is my nose and my eyeballs, and I'm like, am I a human? What is this? I felt warm outside, but it was a lot.
I want to be that person that's in like 60-degree weather and is like, oh my God, it's so cold, and puts on a jacket.
That used to be me when I lived in Miami.
I want that.
Yeah, that was me. But it gets too hot in Miami. That's the only problem.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay.
I don't know where I'm getting an apartment this year. Where it will be, I have no idea. But I am calling in for the apartment that it's going to be a very sunshiny apartment, much like Mexico, where I only have to turn on the lights at after like 8 p.m. and there's a lot of windows and sunlight in all directions, and it's not like a just like 3-window type of situation for the apartment. And that's something I really want.
I love that. That's what I love about my apartment. I don't turn on any lights. So then, okay, what I think we should talk about then is, how do people go about setting their intentions for the new year? Obviously, like, we've set ours, and we know that we want to build community and be connectors and, like, do all of these things. But, like, what would your advice be for that?
If you don't have, like, anything set, and if you're, like, thinking right now, and they're like, I don't know what it should be, I would think on, like, what are things that you've always wanted to do but felt like you could never? Or, like, if you saw another person taking time off on a weekday and going to a grocery store, or, like, going on a hike in the midweek or whatever, like, somebody makes you, like, envious or jealous, like, I would look to that as, like, somewhere to start thinking about it. If you have literally no ideas to start with making intentions. Because for me, it's just based off of, like, okay, I've done a lot of work on myself right now, and, like, what things do I like doing, and what do I want to continue doing? And so, like, resting, I want to continue resting. One of my favorite things, like what Ashley said, is, like, connecting people and growing that community, and, like, people in body doubling, like, one person is a career coach and one person left their job, and they're like, okay, let's do like a LinkedIn day and help everybody. And then, like, they all made, like, their own session, and, like, I just provided a link for that, and, like, just helping connect people for different things, and just not feeling like you have to do it alone. Like, that to me is the greatest thing in the world. And so I want to do more of that. That's, like, a huge role that I like in my life. And I was always, like, amazed when other people were doing that. And I was like, I want to be the person that's connecting people. So
yeah,
I want to be and put myself in positions where I can be in that role. And so, like, focusing on doing that is a great way to start thinking of what your intentions might be.
Yeah. It almost sounds like if things are going well or bad, I think that one of the best questions that you can ask yourself is, like, what do I want more of? So I think it's like, even if we think back to our goal setting episode, it's really easy to think of the negative, like, oh, I want to leave this behind in 2022. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to overwork myself. I don't want to deal with these kind of people. But then if we kind of take our own advice that we talked about goal setting, it's like, well, what do you want more of? How can we state this in the positive? I want more communities to connect with. I want more people who get me. I want more friends. I want more of these things. I want more ways to move my body that feel exciting. I'm not going to say, I don't want to feel like a slug anymore. Like, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, I want to feel energized when I'm moving my body. I want to feel excited. Like doing it in that way. So it's almost like, and it's really good because you can take inventory of your life in a way that feels positive, where you're not looking back on 2022 and you're like, ooh, I can't believe I did all of these things wrong. I don't want to ever do those things again. But really thinking like, oh, like, I did really awesome things and I want to do more awesome things just like that.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, like, there were probably some bad moments of everyone's year. Like, even if somebody had an amazing year, they probably had shitty moments too. Like, I think I had a great year overall. It started rough. It ended great. I'll be honest. Like, thinking of my year in review. And I'm like, okay, what are those elements that I really enjoyed? How do I bring in more of those? What ways can I do that? And that's what I'm really, like, focusing on, because that's what I like.
Yeah, I think it's also important to, like, look at the lessons that you did learn in the last year, and so you can kind of stop yourself from creating a pattern. I think one of the best lessons I learned in this past year was that nobody has more answers than I have for myself. which is like a lesson that's been testing me in my ass even to this month. And I think a lot of starting my business, I was like, well, other people have done this, so I need to look to other people for answers. I need to see how they're doing things. I need to try to do it how they're doing it if I want to get the best results, the fastest. And so I just kept funneling into this system and this ideology that I didn't have the answers. And it's funny because I've seen a lot of TikToks lately that talk about how basically our whole lives are put into a system, school, where someone else is always right. They're going to tell you if you're right or wrong, if you're doing the right thing, if you're taking the right steps, if you can go to the bathroom. So then we become an adult and we're like, can I do this? And then we're looking to somebody to give us permission to tell us yes or no. And I think it's easy to fall into the trap of somebody who's going to give you permission to do things their way, instead of finding people and communities who are going to give you permission to do things your own way. And that's really the lesson I have to take with me. Because the more you surround yourself with people who say yes to what you want to do and not yes to doing the things the way other people suggest them, is the more you'll fall into like your authentic self and trust your intuition and all those things.
Yeah, I've learned to ask on like that note in like but a slightly different way, is like to stop asking other people as much their opinions and start asking myself why more, because like I probably do have the answers, and also because like continuing to ask for other people's opinions on the same thing was just contributing to my anxiety and stopping me from making a decision.
Totally.
And it's like I could have made the decision and then learned whatever I was going to learn in that, and I will have that for next time, and I can keep learning and doing better. And it's like, it's okay. There's some things like, yeah, like definitely like I want a community where you can like ask these questions and get that support if you need it. But then also like knowing the times that no, like you know the answer, like just shut up and try something first.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's
and
something
I totally
I've definitely learned.
Yeah. And I totally think like when you're seeking permission, like it's not going to be a community of people who give you permission. It's going to be a coach or a mentor, a partner and a friend, where you're like, hey, I've been thinking of doing this thing. And they're going to be like, awesome. What do you need to feel comfortable doing that? I think it's a great idea. Do you need to hear that from someone? You know, and I think like that's a lot of times what happens in coaching calls with my own clients is they just need permission that they're allowed to do what they want to do. Something really cool that happened on my Made for Everything membership call last night is I was talking to my clients about, you know, like what they want to do in 2023 and all those things. And one of them is like, yeah, ever since working with you, I've learned that I can do things however I want to do them. And I'm like, yes, that's the goal of everything. You get to do whatever you want, and you get to do whatever you want and make mistakes and learn, and it's safe to do that. And that's something I had to learn, is like, it's easy to like want to have other people tell you what to do, because then I think you also have someone to blame when it goes wrong, and it's easier to like just try to trust somebody else. It's really hard to trust yourself, and then it's also really hard to take responsibility when you get it wrong and continue to trust yourself. But like that is like a lifelong process, and the more you do it, the more confident you'll be in your decisions.
And like something I want to do like on the intention thing is like I want to take what I've learned and do it bigger. And so it's like I learned I can successfully run my coaching business whatever the fucking way I want to do it. Doesn't matter the way any coaching program has taught me that I should do it, how every business coach online will say you have to do it, because they're all saying the exact same thing. I didn't want to ever do it that way. And it took me a while to give myself permission to do that. Once I did, the freeing life that I have been given, the amount of rest I've been given, and like getting rid of employees, everything is like has been so amazing. And I'm like, okay, I want to take what I've learned, and that it's okay to do things completely different, and to go off the ledge, like not always by myself, with doing it in a second business now with Ashley, but completely continually to like take that idea of like I can do it any way possible, and I will learn and I will fail along. And that's okay.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's okay to be that person, and it's okay to not know anything and just keep diving head first.
Okay, I have the best advice if you're someone who hasn't mastered that, because it took me a long time to go against the status quo. Victoria figured it out much faster than I did, but I think that's because my business brain was like system, process, whatever. So if you're somebody who is stuck in the status quo and you literally cannot see how you could do things differently, whether that's in your career, your love life, your health, your business, the easiest way to get there is think about what you want without how it's going to happen. Because I think so much we get stuck on the how. Like, I want to have a successful business, so I'm figuring out how that's going to happen. So I'm like, okay, this business coach has this, this, and this. So maybe if I have those things, I'll be a successful business owner. That's how my brain starts thinking. And that's how you get stuck in these systems and these strategies that feel cookie cutter because you're trying to replicate someone else's model. And the minute you start thinking about what you want without how, you open yourself up to a million opportunities. If I know that I want a business where I rest more than I work and I play more than I work and I have this amount of money and I have all these opportunities available to me, instead of putting myself in a box and saying, well, all this stuff is only going to come through one-on-one clients, I can open up the door and say, maybe I'll just let the universe show me the opportunities available to me. And then all of a sudden, now I could make money through a podcast or through a retreat or through a VIP day or through something that no one else is doing. And I think that is the greatest place to start, what without the how.
And a great example of this in a really small scale for you to start taking action on this is a month ago, this happened where a person who has a podcast, I'm not going to say who it is yet so that I don't spoil anything. I told her to start using Riverside, which is how we record our podcast and everything. And I told her like 2 months ago, and she started using it, and she was like, oh my God, it's great. And I was like, I love to see you using that and everything. And I told Ashley, and Ashley was like, oh, do you want to go on her podcast? Like, we should like message her. And I was like, oh my God, that seems terrifying. Oh my gosh, this seems terrifying. This seems terrifying because like not that I necessarily know her, but like I have listened to her a long time. Like I like some of the things that she says, like, and that's
me
just
not
like,
knowing her. I'm like, do it.
And I was like, okay, but like you have to help me craft the message because like that's not something I am good at. That is something Ashley is amazing at. Ashley literally just a minute later sent me a thing to send. So I copied and pasted it and sent to her. The goal with me doing that, when I sent that message, I told myself, is to make this seem more comfortable and to be able to get comfortable doing this more often and send these types of message. It wasn't to necessarily, I'm getting on her podcast and she's going to respond in 5 minutes. Yeah. And with releasing that complete idea of what has to happen if I do this and that if not, then I should never do it again, is I was like, whatever happens, happens. Guess what? I completed the task. I sent it to her. That was a little terrifying, but I'm down to do it again. And I don't have fear doing it again. And guess what? A month later, she was like, oh my God, I missed this message. Can you email me? I want to do this with you guys. And
Dude, it was so good because you were literally like, oh, she read it and she didn't reply. And I was like, oh, well, better luck next time, I guess. And I am literally in shock that she replied a month later. Like, in shock. It's so cool.
Like, I'm going to tell you all, like, I was terrified to message her again and, like, reply to a DM, or, like, not reply to a DM, reply to a story ever again, because then she would see the message and be like, oh, this girl or something. And then I was like, you know what? It really doesn't fucking matter. Like, I shot my shot. Like, you're good, Victoria. And I literally messaged her about something else, and that's what got her to receive the message. She's like, I'm so sorry. I get so many DMs. Yes, I want to do this and everything. Send me your email because I'm going to get lost in the DMs. And I was just like, it's not as bad as you thought, Victoria. It's all so happening. Cool. It's okay. And as long as I'm comfortable with taking these, like, really small wins, is the win for me in that situation was not to get on the podcast. I mean, we don't even have that fully planned yet. If I never even do that, like, this entire process, I have worked on deep things. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Yeah. The goal for me was to get comfortable with messaging people. And also, I achieved that.
Yeah, and you didn't, like, the what without the how. Like, you didn't control how it was going to happen. You weren't like, I'm going to message her and she's going to reply within 5 days. And then within the next 5 days, we're going to be on that podcast. And by the end of January, my goal is to be on this podcast. Like, there's so much control when that happens. And we've talked about this with goal setting. Like, you can set timelines, but you shouldn't, like, feel constricted to them. Because if you try to control that, that's, like, a lot of disappointment that you get. Because you're like, oh my God, she didn't reply right away. There's something wrong with me. I'm not on her podcast yet. Something went wrong. And it's like, no, like, this is great. This is wins all around. And it's the same thing with setting your intentions for the new year. If you release how things happen, you will feel so much more at peace because everything will start to feel like a win. Because the closer you get to what you want, it doesn't matter how you got there, the more successful you feel. If what you want is to feel comfortable sending DMs to people to ask for what you need and opportunities that you want, you're doing that. And it doesn't matter how it happens or what happens in the in-between, like you're achieving that thing.
And so it's like you can start appreciating it faster. And then later on, it's like a month later passes. I'm in an even better mental state than I was when I sent that message. And I'm like, I'd even be better on the podcast than I would be a month ago if I were to do that. And I'm like
I'd be so good.
1 month ago, I wasn't actually ready for that opportunity. When you can completely release those ideas of how it will happen, how it needs to look, even sometimes, like I say, like, you should really think of goals of like how you want to feel, not how you want it to materialize, but also how can you start how can you start feeling that way now, in whatever certain ways, to start getting that reward and knowing like what it feels like to be in that. You don't have to wait till the end.
Yeah. And I think, something we've been talking a lot about too lately is, you always hear people say right before something amazing happened in their life, they like completely released control. Like there's this band Karma, and I saw them on TikTok, and they said the day before they posted the video that went viral that got them signed to a record label, they literally, before they posted it, they were like, wow, imagine how cool if like this was the video. And they felt like they had an emotional response to what it would be like if everything worked out. They felt the emotion of what it would be. And then they were like, but you know what? If that's not what we're meant to do, that's fine. We'll have another way to get what we want, And they completely released control. And so they found a way to be happy in what they currently have instead of like constantly seeking and feeling desperate for the thing that they want. And then that next day that video went viral. They got tons of, invitations for record deals. And so I think a lot of people talk about surrendering to the goals that you have and the intentions that you have, but I don't think it's just surrendering. I think it's what you just said, which is like you need to be happy now. And if you're not happy with what you have now, like ask yourself why. With the intention that you have for the year, what do you think that's going to bring you? Obviously, we want to build more community and we want to, do more of what we're already doing. And instead of us looking at like, oh, when we have a community, then we'll be able to have these opportunities and then we'll be able to do those things. Me and Victoria are thinking like, oh, like I have a lot of community right now and I just want more of it. And I'm already really happy with the community that I have now, but imagine the impact we could have if it was a little bit bigger. And I think that perspective shift like internally makes it so much easier to hit those goals and achieve those intentions you set for the year.
And not to be embarrassed with like what it looks like right now or something, and be like, oh, well, the community is really small right now, and like, people are going to be like, well, she doesn't have that much outreach if it's like that small or whatever. It's like, I have what I have, take it or leave it. Like, that's okay. You're either going to love it, you're not. Like, I can't force you to do that. And I can't control you to want to be in this community. Like, and I don't want somebody that would need that to be in there, because then it's not natural and it's not what I want to build. And being comfortable and understanding that, knowing that, but was so needy right now. And like so surrendering the control, as cheesy as it sounds, right? Like enjoy the process, don't wait for the end result and everything. But it's like really like, how can you start enjoying now and like just be proud of wherever the heck you are now? Because then a lot of people say, like, I saw somebody on TikTok reach 1 million and he was like, like, thank you so much. I think I actually need to take some time off because I feel terrible right now. As much as I should feel on top of the world for having 1 million, I haven't been taking care of myself to then be able to appreciate this.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that you can't get the results without feeling it, but it's not going to feel as good whenever you get there to that 1 million or to whatever the heck you want. It's not going to feel as good if you don't start enjoying it and take care of yourself today now.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people think like that end goal will be the medicine, right? Like a 1 million will be the medicine. I'll feel better when I get it. And it's like, actually, a lot of times the medicine is the opposite of whatever you're doing right now. If right now you're feeling really, really crappy and working yourself to the bone to get a goal, the medicine is actually going to be taking a step back and reflecting on what you actually need, and maybe it's actually slowing down if you've been pushing really hard, and that will make you feel excited. And then maybe the 1 million followers will come or whatever. I think that is usually the case.
And it also, you don't have to get it on the first try, right? And so it's like, maybe I don't get on this person's podcast, but on that first try, I got a lot of steps covered that make me more comfortable to go try again.
Yeah.
And it actually gave me an idea that I'm like, oh, we should like actually go do this more often. Let's make a list together and let's start reaching out. And it's like, oh, I wouldn't have had that idea unless I had done this experience. And so it's like, I love
that. And
it doesn't matter.
Right. And I think like, okay, so like the reason why we're calling this intentions and not New Year's resolutions or goals is because it's just an intention for the year. And like my honest intention for the year is just to follow those little pings that we get, those little hunches that we get, to take action on them. Because like that's what that was. You were like, oh, I want to be on her podcast one day, and I'm like, one day, let's do it right now, baby. And that's like that's a little idea you had, and you followed it. And like, if your intention the whole year is just to follow these random ideas you get and take action on them without fear, you're going to go down the rabbit hole of exactly where you're supposed to be. I've heard so many people this month talk about, I'm on this path and I want to get to my true path. The path I'm on right now doesn't feel aligned. It's not where I'm supposed to be. And everybody talks about, I want to be on a different path, but no one talks about the journey to get to the other path.
Or the bridge. What bridge do you need to build to get there?
You need a bridge. And that bridge is often going to be built by those tiny random ideas that you have, those intentions that you create, that you decide to follow. You know, I don't need to set a New Year's resolution this year to get to where I want to be. I need to know that my intention is I want to become a connector and I want to build community. And I trust that I'm going to get the ideas that help me create that thing, and I'm not putting pressure on it.
And I don't, like, when we say we have these intentions, I truly mean, I have no idea how it's all going to happen. But
Big facts.
Deep down inside, I know it's just going to happen. I truly believe it. The extent of my ability, of my life, everything deep down, I'm like, no, that's just going to happen. Exactly what steps I'm going to take, how I'm going to do this, and everything, and how I'm going to build it. I've got no idea. You want me to tell you how to build a community? I don't know how. I know I'm great at it. I know I do really great. And I have no idea how I built the community that I have today. And I mean, I kind of do, but then if you ask me to write like a step 1, step 2, step 3, I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of do it. I just kind of vibe and everything. And it's like, I know everyone hates those people that they say that.
And well,
but
just
it's
to make
true.
It clear, like, okay, but like the people that we hate that were like, oh, I just vibe and I just do what I want. I think I hated those people for the longest time. Hello, I am the systems. I need a process. What's the effing strategy? I went to business school. I need a strategy. And I would be so mad at the people who are like, just do what you want. Just flow. Because I couldn't figure it out what it was they're doing. I'm like, why can they just flow? Why don't they need a system? Why is this working out for them? And I'm very excited to say that I figured out the secret, guys. And you're going to hate it because it's going to require you to do work. The thing that they do is they trust themselves. They just literally listen to their intuition. They literally get an idea like, I should talk about this topic today. And they go talk about it and it goes viral and they build a community. That's it. They wholly and authentically do whatever the F they want. And as annoying that is, if you're annoyed by that, then you have to start asking, have I ever tried to do whatever I want? Have I ever tried to follow my intuition, to trust myself, to take action on these ideas? And if you haven't, then you know why you're jealous of them, because a lot of times when we're envious of people, they have something that we know we could have if we went for it.
And I think that definitely shows where like art school played into me, and like design school is like, the entire thing is you're supposed to just think of ideas and just act on them. And so it's just like my entire life, I'm like, no, I just literally think of ideas and I just do whatever the heck I want. Like, that's just what I've been built to do. Like, what do you mean I have to follow a strict system? Huh? That doesn't make sense to me.
I was in theater. I've been following scripts my entire life. You stay on script. You do not go off the script, you know? So, like, that's very different. But I've been working so hard to release that over the past 3 months. And as someone who used to be envious of the go with the flow people, I've been going with the flow and it's been working out. And I've been treating it, if you're someone who has a lot of resistance of going with the flow and like saying, oh, I got this idea, maybe I should do this random thing, like treat it like an experiment. Give yourself 30 days to experiment with trusting your intuition and see what happens. Because that's how I started. I was like, okay, we're going to trust ourselves completely. And it could go terribly wrong. But it's an experiment. So if the experiment fails, that's fine, and we learn. And I gave myself that permission, and then now I'm like, I'm a go with the flow kind of gal. I'm going to post when I feel like it. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to sell weird things that don't have anything to do with anything because it sounds like a good idea this week, you know? And I was like, wow, this is the place I want to vibe. I like it here.
Yeah, it's a fun life. I will say, like, the part that, like, that's something that Ashley's working on, like, I haven't had to work on that as deeply, but, like, the part I had to do was, like, the anxiety, because my anxiety used to take over my entire life. And so, like, messaging somebody, like, Ashley's like, yeah, you just messaged somebody. I'm like, that sounds like literally I want to dig my own grave right now. Like, that sounds horrible. And so it's like we have both things that we're working on and, like, whatever, and building those together is helpful, and to, like, take advice from one another. And, like, she's like, yeah, no, you can do whatever you want. Just, like, send the message. Just do it now. Like, why do you have to wait? Like, what do you mean you have to wait? Just do it now. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And, like, you can do whatever you want now. And so it's like we're both expanding each other in that reality, but also, like, helping each other take action in that.
Yeah.
And so that's why, one, community is so important. And, like, we value that so highly, which is why it's, like, something that we both are drawn to together. And, like, we want to build this. We love this and everything. And we have our own communities and we're building one together. But it's why it's so important.
Yeah, you need to have people in your life who can fill the gaps for where you're not knowledgeable, you know, or where you're not confident. And it's so true. Like, we have, like, the little artsy fartsy one over here who just does whatever she wants. Super expansive for me, because I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't have a plan? We don't need a plan? I love not having a plan. I don't think I was ever meant to have a plan a day in my life. I love this. And you can
It's funny because, like, you're type A and I'm like, no.
It's so good, though. It's so good. I love that. I need to know, and my husband's not type A either. It's very much just me. And I think it's great that I have people in my life who can show me the go with the flow way. I'm a checklist kind of gal, but it's nice to not be. And that's why you need community. Like, you need other people in your life to show you how they're doing things differently in a multitude of ways, right? To show you how you don't want to do things, to show you how you could be doing things. And so you can steal our intention of the year of finding community, or even building one of your own if you want. But I think it's really empowering when you find those right people.
I also have an intention of I'm going to find a partner this year. I don't know why. It just feels like the year. It's not like an intention I'm necessarily setting, but it's just like, I feel like it's just going to happen. I need them to be type A because it's not going to be me.
You need a type A partner?
Yeah, because I'm not going to do the planning.
Are you? You're just like Adrian. I swear. I do all. Dude, I sat Adrian down last night and I was like, "Listen, buddy, you've been in finals for law school, and I'm letting you know right now, I'm at my breaking point. If you do not plan a date for me, I'm going to lose my mind. If you do not hang out with me, I'm going to explode." He goes, "I'm really proud of you." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "You did such a good job communicating." And I'm like, "I'm a great communicator." And he goes, "No, usually you wait till you explode." And I'm like, well, this is me pre-explosion. If you do not take me on a date, I will lose my shit.
But no, like, the thing is, like, with communication is saying what you want and what you need. You literally did that, and you did it before you explode. So that is literally 100% proper communication.
I know, and he was like, and he acknowledged, he goes, "That was so good." And I was like, that's so funny. But, that's on being type A and needing.
Did you see that TikTok I sent you of that girl? And she was like, so my boyfriend has no anxiety and has lived a perfect life, and he was loved by 2 parents, and that's a wild, like, fact to me. And so the other day, we were going to this party, and I literally, but I hadn't even finished the TikTok, and I literally said,
I did not see it.
And you didn't reply, and I was so pissed because I was just like, this is literally Ashley and Adrian. And the comments were insane. And so, let me finish.
I have to go watch it, but keep going.
They were going to, like, this little holiday party with their friends and everything. And they were driving, and she just said out loud to her boyfriend, she was like, what if they don't want us there? And he literally goes, well, they invited us, so why would that happen? That doesn't make any sense. We're literally on our way going. Do you expect me to turn the car around, like, and everything? And she was like, the way they just think.
It's wild. No, that is totally Adrian. Adrian totally loved by 2 parents, living his best life.
And it's truly, Adrian, her husband, was raised by community, not just her parents, was raised by, like, community. And, like, his sister just had a kid, and she's not even tired. And it took Ashley and I a minute to realize, like, why she's not tired at all. It's like, she has 7 babysitters on call. She doesn't have to have sleepless nights and everything. She doesn't have to do it alone.
Yeah, we were FaceTiming Adrian's cousin, and we were like, oh, we're going to be in town in Miami. And he goes, oh, sick. Like, let's plan a dinner. Like, let's make sure we hang out while you guys are in town. And then Adrian was like, haha, make sure you get a babysitter. And he said, babysitter, I got 7 on call at any time. And I'm like, what it must be to live in a Spanish family where abuela or tia or tío, like, anyone is available at any given time to help out. I'm like, I love that. But, like, yeah, community's important. And
won't even, like, fight you on it. And so, like, extent of the community for that is, like, that's an expansion for us. And I think for me especially is, like, hyper individualism and everything, what hyper independence, that's the word I'm looking for, is I always thought I had to do everything alone because there weren't the people for me. And this year has really expanded, like, with me. My Discord failed, okay? I mean, it technically didn't fail, but, like, it did fail.
500 people in it? That is
not like active though, but, like, so I guess, like, that is a fail, but whatever. I didn't set it up the best and everything, and then somebody in body doubling helped me out, fixes it and everything. We're gonna grow it for body doubling to grow that community and everything, and just was willing to help me. And I was like, you don't have to do it alone. You're okay.
Dude, and the minute I realized that we could have a business together, my mind was blown. I was like, I don't have to run a business by myself. Like, I can have a partner who, like, comes up with ideas and bounces ideas off of, and we solve problems together and has a different way of looking at things. Like, what? I was like, this is incredible.
And you want to know what's funny about that is, you know, like, when a lot of people are starting businesses together, they're like, well, make sure you have, like, I don't know what it's called, but it's, think of like a prenup for a relationship where it's like
a business contract.
Basically, that you need to have that because things are going to go wrong. Business partners, things always go wrong. If you're friends, like, if you want to end your friendship, best way to do that is start a business or move in together or whatever. And I'm like,
maybe moving in would end it more likely, because I feel like that would be more chaotic than owning a business together, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah. But, you know, everyone's like, don't do it. And then there's, like, the few stories of people doing it all works out and everything. And, like, people kind of ask them, like, oh, how did you do it? And whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, okay, like, when Ashley and I were kind of starting this, I was like, is this safe? Is this the right thing? Like, will this go bad? Could this be horrible? Could this go shit? How do I protect myself in this? And then I was like, when has one thing gone bad so far?
It's actually gone so good.
And if anything, it gets better and better every day. Okay. Yeah. That doesn't mean can't protect myself. That doesn't mean, like, end of the world, let's say something happens, doesn't mean I can't go off on my own and do it again. Right. And it's okay. Yeah. And, you know, like, yeah, maybe, when we do a lot more, we'll definitely probably make a business contract and everything. And it's like, I also think, like,
I mean, we have one for our LLC that says we own 50-50 right now. We just need to sign it.
Guess what? Type A didn't even know that.
You know, somebody, I'm a girl with a plan back here. I mean, it came with our LLC, so, like, we're fine. But, the reason why I felt so safe in doing this, and, like, this is to, like, when you're setting the intention for your year, like, find examples of the things that you want so you believe that they're true. Everybody said don't do business with your family, and I hired my sister, and she worked for me for 2 years, and my dad was a wreck. Like, my dad literally almost cried telling us that he didn't want us working together because he knows that we're so close and he didn't want us to ruin that, and when you work with family, everything always goes wrong. Like, he was projecting that onto us, and it was fine. It was so fun. And, like, everybody said don't do that, and it worked out. So that's one of the reasons why I'm like, nah, this will be good. The other was, like, you know, you see people like the Almost 30 podcast who are literally 2 best friends who just have a podcast together, and they monetized it and have a company together, and that could have gone horribly wrong, and it didn't. So you have to start thinking, like, well, one, it worked out for me, so why wouldn't it work out again? And if those girls could do it, why couldn't we? You know, like, why not us? And the more you think about your intentions and think, why not me, the easier it'll be to, like, have success.
And it's like, if you look for things to go wrong, they will go wrong. You will find things to be with your belief of whatever it is. And so, like, also, like, with her sister, it was like, we literally consider hiring her sister for this other thing, too. And so it's just like, I don't have any doubts. I don't care. Yeah. I have no thoughts. I mean, I do have thoughts.
But no bad ones.
But no bad thoughts.
Yeah.
No, like, hiccups.
Yeah, and I think like there's also a lot of inner work that you've done to not have bad thoughts. So like let's say you are someone setting intentions for the new year and you have a lot of fear around the things that you want to do. Maybe you want to be more seen in the new year. You want to get more visible. Maybe you want to, reach new things inside of your career and you have fear around it. If you don't address that fear or do, Victoria's talked a lot about this, give space for that anxiety, it will dictate how you see the world and how things work out for you. Like it could be very easy for Victoria or I to be like envious of like, oh my God, you went viral and I didn't, and you're doing this and I'm not doing this. Is there something wrong with me? But like, I think we've both done a lot of internal work, so that doesn't even become a thing where that's like not even at play within the business,
Literally, Ashley posted a story yesterday, and I mean, I didn't even ask if you wanted this, but like Ashley has said, I mean, before though, you have asked me to do this, and Ashley knows, and everyone tells her like, you are such an attractive speaker. The way you speak is so commanding and amazing, and like her coaches have considered buying things from her. They're like, wow, the way you speak and everything. But then Ashley's like, I don't really understand how I do it and what it is. And she was doing a story and I was listening to it, and my brain automatically just went into like, okay, interesting. Analysis. The way she just said that and connected that and did that. And I was like, let me tell her so she understands more of what she does.
That was
and
so
I was
helpful.
Like, by the way, I was like, I think it's because of this and then this and then this, and then you did it this way and then this thing happened. And I think that brings off of this, and like that's helpful to her. And it's also helpful to not me take that style, but me to continue to learn like more ways of speaking and other styles and just expand myself. And, I could try out Ashley's style and be like, okay, so I liked saying it that way, this specific part, but I didn't like that, how she did that. So maybe I'll try this instead. And, that's how you find your own style.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and no, it was super helpful for you to like look at what I did and be like, hey, this is why I think people like what you're doing. Like positive feedback. It's so cool to have a business partner. When do you ever get positive feedback ever in a solopreneur business? You do not. You're just out here vibing and waiting for customers to tell you what they like about you, but it's cool to have like a friend who can look at what you're doing and say that. And I think this is another cool example too, because like you are going to have things that you're naturally good at. Like for me, I will never analyze speakers because I'm like, I got a style. I usually just go with the flow on that. And Victoria goes with the flow on her business. And I'm like, wow, that is so cool. And like for you, like you're not naturally like, oh, this is how I want to communicate. You want to improve that. And that's so cool because I want to improve my go with the flow abilities. And this like comes back to community. Like you're going to have areas of your life where you're really, really good at something, and you're going to have areas of your life where you want to learn more, expand on, grow upon. And if you can find people who are doing what you want to do, you can grow in that way. And then you can also have people who are probably looking up to you about how you're doing something amazing that you didn't even think about because you're just naturally good at it. And I think that's what's really cool about community.
And like it doesn't have to be as crazy as you might have once thought it had to be. And like like we said in the beginning is like it doesn't, or I don't know if we said this on here. We said this when we were talking beforehand, as it doesn't have to be as big. We don't have to make it as big as we think it needs to be, and it still can be bigger. Right. And what I meant by that when I said
like
that,
impactful,
is like, I don't, with building a business is I don't have to have all these employees and doing these certain things and this to grow and to get that. And like that actually led to my burnout. And pulling back helped me realize that. And like, I was like, okay, well, we went with the flow. We did what everyone else said instead of listening to myself. I always know whenever I do that, that's when bad things happen. And then I was like, okay, pull back. Go into safety mode. What happened? Okay, evaluate that. What did I learn? What can I do better? What needs to happen? And then I was expanded by Lacey and the way she runs her business. We're To Be Magnetic. Is she doesn't have that many employees, and I genuinely do think she should have more employees, and I think a few more things could get done. But I like her style of it's not as much, and it still can be big and impactful and reach a lot of people. And you don't have to have 2,000 employees to go and do all of this. It doesn't actually have to be that way. And I'm like, okay, I can do more with less. Yes. And I know I still want to be better on the technological side because that is a pet peeve of me with her business, and nothing against her. That's like, she doesn't care, and that's fine. I do. And so I'm going to make that a priority for me. But like it expanded me to like, it doesn't have to be as big. And so now for us, building our business is like something we both have intentions of, is kind of completely recreating the business model and how it can be done. And that's something I'm very passionate about, and like rethinking that structure, rethinking businesses, and allowing other people to think of that as well. And so like also with the intention of me just DMing somebody, it's not that I have to get on her podcast, it's just I have to DM her. Do not make these things as like, do not make your bridges bigger and higher and taller to climb than it needs to be.
Yeah, I love that. That was such a good lesson of this past year. It doesn't have to be as big as you think it does. It's the same thing with your intention. Like Victoria just said, like, it doesn't have to be the most monumental thing. You do not need to go run a half marathon or make $1 million more than you made this year, or make 15 new friends. Like, that is why I think it's so important to do the what you want without the how you want it, because you know, we overcomplicate how we're going to do things. Like Victoria was like, oh, I need 1 million employees if I want to have a good business and make the most money and reach the most people. Like, I need to outsource. I got rid of most of my employees and I love it. I love it. And I am having more impact than before, and I'm reaching more people than before. And I can't even imagine how many more people that we are going to create. And you might have to do things in a new way. And like Victoria said, like, we are creating a new version of doing business. We're creating a new model. We're working less. We're playing more. We're following our intuition. We're doing what's fun. And we're going to have a massive impact without overcomplicating things. And I think when we talk about, like, it doesn't have to be as big as you thought, it doesn't have to be as complicated as you thought. You know, like, moving parts, like, employees are a lot of moving parts. Maybe you don't need as many of those. Brand deals are a lot of moving parts. Maybe you don't need brand deals to make $1 million. You know, like, there's different ways of doing things, and it just requires a little bit of creativity and a little bit of surrender for you to get there.
And like something we realized, excuse me, sir. Thank you. Is like, you know, we don't even want brand deals. Like the past 3 months we've been working on that, and then we kind of were like, actually?
And we never got the brand deals that we wanted. And I'm like, wow, maybe we never got them because we didn't actually want them. And that's the other thing. Like, if you're setting an intention and it's not coming through, whatever it was, if it's building a community, getting a new job, whatever, and it's not happening, maybe it's not what you want to happen. Like, and you have to get really honest with yourself about your intentions, because like, I really thought I wanted brand deals. And then I was like, no, that was me controlling how I would make money, because I only could see making massive amounts of money in this new way through brand deals. And it's like, okay, well, what if I got a little bit more creative and I released that idea? Because honestly, to me, having brand deals sounds I
swear he sounds like a pig sometimes.
Anyways, yeah, having a brand deal sounds a lot like having a boss, and I promised I would never have a boss again. And so I just had to realize, like, I was controlling how I would make money, and that's not something that I actually wanted. So I think the more honest you can get with your intentions too, the easier it'll be for them to come through.
And for me, the reason why it wasn't right is because the only vision I had of expanding my income for what I was doing in those moments was to get a brand deal, because I felt like it wasn't adding too much more to my plate, because I couldn't add anything more to my plate because it was already over full. And stepping back made me really realize, like, you never wanted that. It was just the only way you thought at that time to make more money, because you didn't have much time. And I was like, yeah, if I just have to film a 1-minute video and I can make $20,000, like, boom, that's amazing. But then finding out, like, how much other work goes into making brand deals and how many issues there are. And I was just like, you know, I honestly I never watch the videos of brand deals. I always hate them. And I don't want that content on my feed. Yeah. And I want to just do honest stuff. I don't fucking want it.
What if there was another way to make money? And I see all of these content creators who are like, they don't like doing brand deals, but it's how they make money, because they feel guilty when they post them, because they're like, right now my community is going to be mad because they are going to think I sold myself out. And it's like, well, did you sell yourself out? Because maybe you did. Because is that actually what you want to be doing? Are you promoting brands that you love? You know, Victoria and I have already said, if Hoka wants to do a brand deal, we're so down, because I wear Hoka's I wear Hoka's every day. Every day I wear Hoka's. But if I've had so many random companies reach out, I'm not going to partner with them. I'm really not. It's not worth my time because I know there's other ways that I can make money. And I really do think brand deals are still an hourly. You've said this too before, where it's an hourly exchange. You're still exchanging time for money, and I don't want to do that anymore. There's other ways to earn a living than me saying, if I work this many hours, I can make this much money. I want to do it in a new way, and that's really what we're creating in the new year.
Yeah. And that, it's okay to really envision that. And it's if somebody who does do brand deals is listening to this, there's no shame. You catch the bag. It's not for me, and it's not for Ashley. And, if you don't want to do it in the future, that's okay too, and whatever. And I understand, that's how you have to make that's how you might have to make your money right now.
It was a bridge. Brand deals can be a bridge job. I didn't realize my business was a bridge job until I did. And I was like, oh, this business isn't the only thing I want to do with my life. I thought it was at one point. And it could be the same thing with content creators and brand deals. They're like, oh, I thought this was what I wanted to do. It's been really cool, but maybe there's something else. And it's giving yourself permission to think that there could be something else.
Yeah. And just expanding to yourself to be open to anything, open to any experience and in any path of life. Yeah. And you don't have to plan everything, says the Viber. And let things be open to all the possibilities that you couldn't even fathom or dream of today.
Yeah. What if I just don't know what the big thing is going to be? The next big, I don't need to know. And what really blew my mind is I was talking to someone, they're like, Ashley, you need to start thinking you could be on red carpets. You could be in TV shows. You could be filming a pilot for something. And I was
I want to be on a red carpet this year.
I was like, I could be doing anything? Are you serious? I could be doing anything? And then my mind was blown because I gave myself permission to believe I could be doing anything. Yeah, let's go on a red carpet. How do we make that happen? We'll get invited.
Well, you have to get invited.
Okay, well, She's saying
you just have to ask through my account.
Well, she's saying that because I'm a projector and my design type is to wait for the invitation. So, I have to I can't just go out and be soliciting people for things. It never works. I literally wait for people to come to me. And it's because projectors have information and we need to be recognized for our value. And if we try to force our value upon others, they don't vibe with that. But Victoria's type is just go tell people what you want. So you go tell people you want us on a red carpet so I can come too.
Hi, I am talking out to the world right now. I want to be on a red carpet and Ashley will be with me. And little Theo will hopefully be with me as well.
What do you think?
Can I take my dog to a red carpet? Is that okay? Is that safe? I don't fucking know. I will. I don't care.
Should we be what do you think? A movie awards, TV awards, a new premiere of a show?
I want to know. I honestly just kind of want to go on a red carpet to know what that experience is, because I don't think anybody has done a really good behind the scenes of what does this really mean and what happens.
It's probably really awkward. Know. Okay, so I think it's really awkward and really overwhelming. Awkward because people are just going to be taking photos and maybe they don't really care who you are, but they'll take your photo. I also think it looks a lot different than you think because they have a red carpet, but there's only one section where there's a step and repeat, and that's where you take your photo, and then it's the rest is just you walk inside a building, I feel it's not as exciting as it's made out to be.
And so then what happens after you walk in the building?
You go to a table and you sit, or you go to a chair and you sit. It depends on the event, right? If it's an award show, you sit at a table, they probably serve dinner and you watch the award show. If it's a movie premiere, you go in the whatever theater and you watch the movie, like that.
Oh, so it's kind of boring?
I low-key think it's boring. And I only say that because I used to run events. I used to do the movie screenings for Disney and stuff. We didn't have red carpets or anything because they were just for normal people in the theaters, and sometimes the actors would come. They're pretty mid. And then I used to do events for the university that I work for, so we would always have step and repeats outside of our events, and I'm this must be what the...
So maybe I don't want to go on a red carpet. No, I want to go on one to experience it, and then I can shit on them for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I just need to be expanded of how crappy it is. Show everyone else how crappy it is, and then...
I mean, maybe it's amazing, but I can't imagine that it is.
I can imagine a lot of overstimulation.
It'll be very overstimulating because there's people talking, there's people walking, there's people getting interviewed, there's photos happening.
Seems like a very anxious experience.
That's what I keep thinking. Yeah, that's truly what I think.
So maybe I don't want that. Well, tune in because next year we can review this and see how this all went, and we'll see if we ended up on the red carpet.
Dude, how many? We'll have so many more episodes by then because this is episode I don't know, 15 or 16 or something.
I mean, 16. We could have anywhere between
we're gonna have 50
there's
more
52
episodes.
Weeks of the year.
So
and if we start doing more
70.
than one, sometimes we'll have at least between 70 to 100.
That's so incredible. Oh, I'm so excited.
I don't know. I'm excited for this year. I think it's going to be a great year. Also, apparently, Ashley and I's not design type. What's it called?
Astrology. Our signs. Taurus.
Signs,
I'm
whatever.
a Taurus. We haven't talked about this. I'm a Taurus. Victoria's an Aquarius. Our signs are fixed signs that have been struggling for the past 3 years, according to astrology. And it stops in 2023, baby!
And they're like, you're finally going to get that breath of fresh air in March. And I literally messaged Ashley. There's so many videos saying that. I messaged Ashley. I was like, thank God. I was not into any of this that deep. And it's not that I'm still like, oh, this is exactly how my life will go in March. It will be that definitely breath of fresh air, whatever.
But it's fun.
Who knows? It'll be fun to see if what happens and how accurate and whatever it is. I'm so glad I wasn't that into it or anything.
If they were for the next
for the past 3 years, because if they
stop.
had been saying for the past 3 years, you're just gonna go through a lot of shit. You're just gonna go through a lot of shit. You're just gonna go through a lot of shit. I think I would have tapped out. I don't think I would have gone through the shit.
I went through a lot of shit in the past 3 years, so once I heard that we had been going through shit for the past 3 years, it was like, the math adds up.
Math adds up.
So I'm going to really believe you on this it gets better thing because the math be adding up. All right, well, okay, any final thoughts on setting intentions for the new year?
I know we did a whole goal setting thing, and I want you to think of these goals and intentions kind of as the same thing, because I think with goal setting, we get really I set goals, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And, viewing your goals as intentions instead and kind of a lighter thing can be really freeing and help you stay kind of on track more, just because it feels more natural with your everyday life than having to do these specific hard set things. And so if you want to think of them like that, and all of this information kind of goes together, think of things like that, because, if you want to set a goal like Ashley to run 6 miles this year, that is a very fine goal. If you want to have a goal of getting a higher paying job, great. But if you want all of that, set the intentions kind of what some of that stuff will bring you. So it's okay, if I have a higher paying job, what are my intentions going into getting that higher paying job? Why do I think I need that? Inflation, whatever it is, I don't know. Or maybe you just want to move up in whatever field that you're in.
Yeah.
Is set those intentions and how you can start kind of living that life and living those freedoms and surrounding yourself with a community who does whatever or makes more of that, and just expand your reality this year.
Yeah.
Expand your community, expand the people who you're with, evaluate the people who are in your life all the time.
That's the best advice. Evaluate the people who are in your life all the time. And the other thing that I like about setting an intention is it goes back to what we said about goal setting. Setting an intention is an invitation. I intend to do this thing. But guess what? If I don't do it, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I intend for it to happen. It'd be really cool if it did. I intend to run 6 miles by March. That's kind of my goal. And I intend for that to happen. But I'm not going to be mad at myself if it doesn't happen, because I know that the core essence of me running 6 miles is just, that sounds like a really fun way for me to get back into moving my body more frequently, other than doing cycling twice a week. I want to do more. And so my actual true intention is I want to move my body more, and I want to feel excited to go work out. And by setting a goal around running, it makes it feel exciting. And so that's the true intention. And so think about, I guess, like what you said too, is like you can have a goal, but under the goal, what's the true intention? What's the core essence?
The
what
why behind the why.
The why behind the why, baby. You know, why do I want to run 6 miles? It's not because I want to run 6 miles. It's because I want to see if I can. And it sounds like a fun way to get up every day and go to the gym.
And I think if you're having a hard time of finding your core essence of the things, so an example of this, like Ashley kind of just like led you through it a little bit, is like she just wants another fun way to move her body and like move her body more. And like, I mean, she said a few episodes ago, she wants to like start working out more and everything, but it just didn't feel right then. And like, you know, she's going to try this. Maybe this feels right. Maybe this doesn't, but she's on this mission to like kind of do this while also resting and everything. And it just feels right now. And, you know, if in 2 months she stops, she can stop. It doesn't matter. It's whatever. She did what she set out to do, and maybe it changes because she found something else she likes and everything. But understanding the core essence is just to, like, help her move her body more and just enjoy that experience. A great example of when I was first introduced to this in, like, my coaching program is finding your why behind the why, because I was in a health coaching program, which is what we were taught first before like, the life coaching and all of the other types of coaching is it's very common for like a health coaching client to be like, I want to come and lose weight. And so somebody will be like, okay, why do you want to lose the weight? And they're like, well, like I think it would be nice to like fit in these specific clothes again and everything, and my husband would like it and everything. And it's like, okay, like that's not a good why to like lose weight. Like that's not going to fuel you for a long time to do the things and get up on those hard days. Like that's not going to do it. And so you need to go deeper. And it's like, okay, so like why does she feel like her husband doesn't like her right now? Why is her body not okay right now? And so then I think she said like, oh, I don't think I'm getting, and I think there was like a few more steps, but then basically the ending was like, I'm not getting enough attention I need in the relationship. Woo. And so her source for what deep. She thought to reach that core essence was to her to lose weight. Wasn't actually.
When it's like, you could just have a conversation with your husband. Oh.
And so sometimes like it's understanding that why behind the why of what you're doing can really help you understand how things will go in the future and like how important things are, how you might need to style the intention or goal or whatever. Because it's like, I made that Discord server, I failed. It wasn't the right time. I didn't have enough energy to do that and everything. My intentions were good. My intentions were pure. I wanted to build a community. I still want to do that. I still am going to do that. But then I was taking on too much. I understand.
And that wasn't how to do it, right? Like if you release the how, then you didn't fail because you still built community via TikTok, via body doubling. It's just like, and that's why the intention is so good, because your intention is to build community. That is the core of what you want to do. If the Discord doesn't work out, but body doubling is thriving and those people are connecting with each other and helping with each other, then you effing did it, you know? And so like that, getting down to the core essence of what you want to do and the actual intention behind your goal is so important, because then you can release the how and you can just focus on what it is you want.
And you can possibly get to the deep core essence of what the goal, why you would possibly want to make that goal, and that maybe that goal is not the right goal for you at all. And be like, okay, actually my relationship's not good. I need to work on that. And so maybe you do a whole host of things. There's a bunch of things that you can do and set tensions around having better communication, a better relationship. Maybe a lot of things got brought up or whatever, and like things just, you know, you got lost in the sauce because of kids and life and blah, and you didn't focus on your relationship as much, and so you need to bring that back and whatever. It can be so many things in your life, and so just digging deep into yourself and like getting comfortable, okay, why behind the why, and like ask yourself why like 5 or 6 times to get down that path, I think is how many times it took for her to get to that. You know, the more you do it, the faster you can probably get to it. But when you're first starting out, it could take a bit, and sometimes you won't know it the first day. Obviously, it's like Ashley and I are trained to do that and trained to like ask specific questions to get you there faster. And so like, you know, if it takes like 2 or 3 days for you to get to that, that's okay too.
Totally okay. Totally okay. So that's on setting intentions. Let's wrap up this very first episode of 2023 with some client stories, shall we? Okay, I'll go first. Okay, asked my membership, what are the things they're leaving behind in 2022? And this is what they came up with, and I'm very excited for them. One of them is bro marketing. They're done doing like that super manipulative kind of marketing. She works in finance, and so she was like, that is so bad. And she was like, they gave me these scripts to get financial advising clients, and she's like, oh, you're being manipulative in this script, and like, it's horrible, and it's gonna work because you're dealing with people's emotions and finances. And so she's like, I'm not doing that anymore. If things feel manipulative or scammy or whatever, not part of my business model. I was like, love that. Someone else said they're leaving behind procrastination. And then when we got down to like what that actually means, it means they're done like coming up with an idea and then doubting themselves. And so like they realize the reason they procrastinate is because they are filled with doubt. And so their tool that they're using in the new year is like actually questioning that doubt every time it comes up and figuring out where it came from and if it's real or valid. So that way they stop procrastinating on all the cool ideas they have. And then the other one that they came up with together was they're leaving behind being unorganized. And what was cool is on our call last night, we actually talked a lot about how, and many of my clients, actually all of my clients in that program right now have ADHD. Fun fact. And we talked a lot about how we organize differently, and it kind of goes into everything we talked about in this podcast episode. It's like, you don't have to do things the way other people do things. And so my client was like, oh my God, everybody says use a Google Calendar. And so I was doing that and it wasn't working. And she's like, so she thought about what had worked for her in the past to be organized and when she was the most organized in her life. And she realized it was in college when she had a physical planner and she had to write things out in her physical planner. And so she bought these awesome papers to brain dump and then organize her brain dump and then put it in her planner. And now she has a way to be organized that works within her own system. And so if you're someone who's also unorganized, like, you don't have to organize like everyone else. You have to organize how it works for you. And my favorite thing that my clients are leaving behind in 2022 is so many of them are leaving behind their 9-to-5s. They're quitting their jobs in December or January, and they're going to be full-time entrepreneurs. And I want to celebrate them so big because that is so incredible, so hard to do, so impressive. Kudos to my clients. All right, Victoria.
I have a note on that because, cool. So it's in very ADHD fashion. If anybody listening to this has bought planners for the year of 2023 because they're like, this year is going to be different. I hope I catch you before that happened, but in case I haven't, I want you to take this and I want you to take what that client did. And I want you to think, when was a time that I did it well? If you can't think of that, is I want you to create a system around the original problem. What happens when we're trying to solve our own problems, especially with ADHD sometimes, is we then like, oh, well, if I do this and then I can bring in this and then I can bring this, is I want you to create a system and a solution around that specific problem in whatever way you want. And so a great example of this, as I made a video on this, is I have never been able to make a vanity like clean in my life and keep it up to date. And I'm like, it's just never been for me. My mom always was just like, bought me a vanity and everything. And she was like, why can you not keep it clean? Why can you not keep it organized? And I realized, like, when I travel, I'm so organized with all the stuff that would be on my vanity. And I just keep it in a little makeup travel bag or whatever all the time.
Oh my God, me too.
Instead of creating and doing all the bathroom solutions and gurus that's like supposed to, that, just keeping it in that little thing for me, that's all I need. And I don't like sitting on a vanity either. I like sitting on the floor and doing that. Yep. And when I just sat back and understood, like, okay, the issue is I, always kept moving the stuff to the floor because I didn't like sitting at that desk. And I really don't even need as much. So maybe I should stop buying as much and just keep it into one pouch. And solve the original problem. Don't make it bigger. And make the solution whatever feels comfortable and solve wherever the issue is being created. Stop trying to put it other places. Wherever you are putting your shoes now and your jackets, create a solution around that place because that's so much easier than changing yourself.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. It's funny because like, most people would hang up their jackets in the closet, right? But my winter coat, I always put it on my bar stool chair because it's easily accessible to me and I can just pick it up and put it on and take Max out, and that is my solution to, but it's not what most people would do. But yeah, and I think with the client too, like, I love that. You're like, think about a time that this has worked, which is what my client did. And so she had an easy solution. But if you've never been organized, and she specifically, I think, was trying to organize her to-do list, you have to think about like, okay, well, why is this not working? You know, what's going on here? And really goes back to the whole episode of like, what do you want? Forget how you get there. What do you want? Like, that is the theme of this whole episode. Like, what is it that you want? Because the solution is going to look different from your neighbor or your friend or whatever.
And like, just be comfortable with that, and like, be confident that it can be whatever the way you want it to be, which is kind of what my client win is going to be.
Tell me.
So this is a one-on-one client, and I'm not working with her all the time now, but we had a session together this week or last week or something. And what she really wants to work on is like just being one of those people that is just like confident and can do whatever the hell they want. And people are just like, wow, like, look at you just doing whatever you want. And we were kind of talking about like, she had a hard childhood and everything too. And she has to work on a lot of that. Inner child work and whatever, but she was like, I wish I could go on the swings. And I was like, why can't you go on the swings? She was like, you know, like, I can't, like, kids are there and everything. And I was like, okay, like, go when kids aren't there. And I'm like, it doesn't mean you have to go at the end of the day when it's dark and everything. Like, you can go during the day too. Like, kids are not always there. Like, why don't you go walking at a park that has a children's playground and swings and whatever. And, you know, if you see a swing open, like, you can go on it. And there's a kid that can be next to you, and you can still go on the swings. And, yeah, like, you know, maybe somebody's going to walk by and be like, wow, that's so cool that she's on the swings. Totally. And, like, thinking in that light. And so I'm like, and the solution we kind of came up with was, she was like, you know what, like, I'll go with my friend. Like, I'll go on a walk with my friend. And if there's one open, we'll go do that and everything. And, like, make it comfortable and start making those moves in whatever, like, way that you can that's most comfortable to you. And so it's like, first, like, just DMing, first doing this is like, she needs to first go with her friend on a walk to see if there's swings open, do that. And then maybe after doing that 1 or 2 times, then she can go by herself. And I'm like, also maybe you set up a swing in your apartment or whatever so that you can do that more often in the privacy of your home. And like, dude, whatever it is that makes you so happy, go get that.
Oh my gosh. When I was doing... TBM has like a manifestation challenge right now. I was doing the authenticity DI or whatever, and basically you do a meditation and you visualize when your younger self was the happiest. Mine was when I was on a trampoline and I was like, oh, I need a backyard and I'm gonna have a trampoline. I love that. And I think that's so cool. And yeah, I think like, yeah, the big takeaway is like, baby steps to the things you want to do. And there's also nothing wrong with what you want to do ever. You know?
And, like, don't judge it, right? Like, my client was kind of judging it. It's just like, no, like, people are going to be like, why is, like, an older person on the swing? I was like, you're not 100 years old.
And if you
I was like, you're 25.
That would be the coolest. Could you imagine seeing a 9-year-old just swinging by herself? I would be like, yes, live my dream life. I want to be you when I grow up.
And it's like, don't think about it as childish. Don't, like, no, if somebody thinks you're a pedo, like, you're probably doing something wrong in that situation. And so it's like, I trust my client enough to not do that. And so it's just like, it's okay. You can even be on the slide when a kid is on it too. Like, obviously if you want to be there alone, like, go on a rainy day to the park and go in the swings. Like, if you really want to be alone, like, nobody's going to be there. Nobody's going to say anything. And like, make those decisions, make those moves this year, that whatever makes you happy, like, go and do them. Don't let anybody else tell you that they're weird or like, you should not do those. Like, that's like what a child would do. Whatever makes you fucking happy, go do that. Yeah, I don't care what anybody else has to say. Don't care what anybody else has to say. Your happiness comes above their comfort.
Yeah. You know what's funny is whenever I was home for Thanksgiving, my sister was looking at me and we were making homemade, like, what were we making? We were mixing cocoa butter. We were making lotion. We were making homemade lotion together. And I was like, I don't know what I was doing, but she looked at me. She was like, I don't think you ever grew up. And I was like, nope, I didn't. She's like, you're just like, it's not that I'm childish, but my inner child like is allowed to exist in my life. And she's like, yeah, I just don't think you ever grew up. And I'm like, and I take that as a compliment because that means I'm super fun and exciting and everyone else is boring.
And actually, I think it's like really common with ADHD just because it's like, we don't like having to do Not that we don't like having to do the adult things, but it's like we don't think that life has to be as serious as like a neurotypical might think it had to be. And it's like, me to my mom, I'm like, let's go on an adventure. Like, let's be spontaneous and everything. Like, that is a very big positive as, like, ADHD is, like, a lot of people just kind of get stuck in the realm. And we're like, no, like, let's go do this today and everything. And so it's, like, that is kind of, like, a benefit. And, like, so go do those things. Like, we often try and, like, mask. And we're like, no, we can't go have fun. We can't go do that because, like, people will judge us and blah, blah, blah.
I can't be silly.
Shit. Yeah. They want to do that stuff, but they can't. So go do it.
Yeah, it's like when we were making soaps, I was being silly and like the way I was pouring things in or how I was spinning and like I was being a weirdo, and it's like that's me being myself. And you get to be yourself all year long, all 2023. You get to be yourself.
And Bo is a child, and you're not gonna bark.
Look at him. What a silly little guy. My silly little guy's sleeping. All right. Well, this was an amazing episode. If you are listening on Spotify, don't forget we are putting questions up, little prompts. So make sure you check out what the prompt is, answer it. Make sure you follow us on Living Adventures Co. on Instagram because we're posting quotes from episodes before they premiere, so you get tips and tricks on all things like this, and connect with us on other socials so we can say hi and hang out and come join our Discord community because that's a thing now. Anything else?
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be a great year, and even if it's not a great year, we're gonna find some things to be great about and just let it exist as it exists. Don't force things too much and just make sure
vibe.
You're happy this year.
Take a page out of the Vibers book. We're gonna put we're putting the Type A book to the side for the year. We're just gonna put her down. We got a lot of lessons from Type A. I'm currently reading chapter 17 of How to Just Vibe, so I'll let you know how it goes. I wish that was a real book. How to Just Vibe. Can we write it?
I bet you should write it based off of what you've learned from me. How have I learned how to vibe with a girl that just vibed her whole life?
Our handbook for the new paradigm of work is literally called How to Just Vibe.
How to catch the vibe.
Anyways, Happy New Year. Bye, everyone.
Happy New Year.